Hello and welcome. Welcome back. Um, welcome to the stream. It's been like 4 days, dude. I don't know what my deal is. I don't know. It's been rough. It's been rough. Um, but I'm here. um, yeah, just gonna be doing some normal stuff in Destiny. Nothing too crazy. Gonna try to just have some fun with it. Have a normal, average stream. Yeah. Um, right before I fully transition over to the main screen, let me do one thing real quick. Okay. Sorry. Um, yeah, it was getting hot in my room. I wanted to make sure the AC was actually turned on. Lately, what we've been doing is not having the AC on if we know that it's going to get cooler at night. But I know it's supposed to rain tonight, so we can't really leave the windows open tonight. So was just double checking that it was actually on right now, and it is now. So, yeah, whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and transition over to the game. Hi. What's up, hi? How's it going? Good to see you. They changed like a little bit of the UI for OBS. I don't really know why they did that, but just weird. Like literally, I think the only change I've noticed is that the little um audio monitoring. There's a word for them. Can't think of. You know the little bars that move up and down whenever you talk into your microphone or whatever, and you can monitor it. Um, whatever. They made those like a little bit wider for some reason. I don't really know why they did that. And now it's messed with everything else, and I have to readjust all this stuff. So that's cool. Title screen looks a lot like Rainbow Six Siege. I think that's interesting whenever Destiny does change their title screen. But it does kind of make me nostalgic over other title screens that we've had in the past that I now miss and go, oh man, I wish, I could see that one again. Yeah. Man, there have been a lot of new album releases lately for a lot of artists I listen to. How about we do this? How about I queue up all these different albums and we listen to that along with the stream. I think that'd be fun. Or here, I think a better way to do this would be, let's start with this new Wolfmon album. And then we can add to queue for all the other ones. Dude, Summersalt added a new album. Let's go. Claro, I guess we'll add hers as well. That's fine. I'm not like a mega Claro fan, but she's got a few really good songs. I feel like I have more songs by other artists that feature Claro on their songs than I do. Like, I feel like I have more songs that I like that are by other artists that feature Claro on that particular track rather than like a Claro song that I like specifically. There's a new Ginger Root. Oh, it's an EP. Jungle as a single. Mac DeMarco even. Dude, so many people. Let me just scroll through real quick, see if there's anybody else that I missed that may have had an album somewhat recently. Let's see. New album by Cigarettes After Sex. I only know like one song by them. I have a hard time believing that Louis Armstrong has released new albums, considering he's probably been dead for like at least like 20 years. At least. Oh, Delicate Steve. I do know a few songs by him. Yeah. Yeah, there are definitely a few things that are not really new. I only know one Claro song. Is it Pretty Girl or is it a different one? That was her first like big song. And that one was her. That one was a friend of mine showed me that one. Like we were recommending songs to each other and a fellow music nerd. Except he's actually good at playing instruments. Um but he recommended that song by Claro and I looked it up and that was like when she hadn't really blown up at all yet. That was like her first big break though. She kind of blew up a little. I got in early, is all I'm saying. All right, I got in early. Drum. Oh, they did the look. Is there anything else by them I know, or is it just the look that I know? Give me the look, look. You know that song? Yeah, I don't recognize any of these other songs. I'm sure I know other songs by them, but I don't know how excited I am for a new album by them. I think that's a good mix. I think we got plenty. We'll top it off with wait, hold on. What about Kowloon? Uh, they don't have a lot of music. I only know like one song by them. Hmm. We'll top it off with Doctor Dog though, because they released a new album on the 19th. I've been looking forward to this album, and now I've been listening to this album a lot. It's very good. I like it. It's literally just called Doctor Dog. Also, yeah, been listening to Laffy lately. I don't know if I know Laffy. Double Crucible Rewards. I think that's one of the artists that I've heard of, but I don't know if I've really listened to any of their stuff. At least not that I know of. Here we go. Here we go. Oh no. It's begun. Or maybe it's just now ending. Perhaps. Yeah, what's up, Doffy? Good to see ya. Otherwise known as Bofa, I think. It's hard to keep track of people's alter egos. I think you're the same person. Had to the quad bonk. Understandable, honestly. Don't blame you. But this is actually a pretty cool looking ship. I don't think I'm going to get it, but I wouldn't blame anybody from getting this from the Brightest store. It's a nice one. Also, what's up, McNasty? Hey, Laffy. Love her. Gonna see her next month. Laffy Supremacy. Neb. Oh. Then what's Bofa's other username? Oh God. I'm out of practice, dude. What am I gonna do if my community ever actually gets bigger and I have like a lot of viewers? Are you like supposed to keep track of like everybody in your community? Because there's no way, right? There's no way you can keep track. Like, there's no way like German knows everybody in his viewership. But there's probably like a lot of regulars. I also haven't been here for like 3 months, but also I haven't been here for like 3 months. I literally like, you know what? Let's pull it up because I make announcements every time I stream. We can literally look at the dates. Uh, Starting this month, didn't even stream on the first day of the month. Streamed on the second. Waited 2 days. On the third day, streamed again. Waited 4 days, or waited 3 days on the fourth day. Streamed again. Uh, Streamed the next day. Next day, okay, like a 4 day streak, 5 day streak. Wow, okay, we're actually doing all right. Oh, that's when we were playing Animal Well, dude. I was playing Animal Well, and I wanted to play it every day because I was having a lot of fun with that game. So yeah, I played it 4 days in a row, and then took another 5 day break. Yeah, so I didn't stream for 4 days. Streamed on the fifth day after that. I did stream for 2 days in a row that time though. But when I did that second day, it was for like an hour. We were playing Lethal Company with friends, and then they were like, "Okay, I think I'm done with Lethal," and I'm like, "Okay." And then I ended stream thinking I was gonna stream later that day, and I didn't. So, and that was now 4 days ago. So, oy, oy. I don't want a song. Does it feel so good, so good, so good? Doing lots of Destiny? No, not at all. I've been probably playing as much Destiny as the average player plays, which is like maybe not that crazy. Yeah, Animal. Whenever I play a game like that, I play it and I go, I just want to beat this game now, and then I get too tired to play it in all in one day, and then I go, okay, and then I stream it for several days in a row because I'm just having so much fun playing it, and I really want to get it done. You know, completionist mindset, I guess. Last stream I joined was 20th of April, 2 days after my birthday. Understandable. There was the birthday hype, and then after that, you were probably like, okay, I think I'm done watching for a little while. Last time I remember actually chatting. So when you were doing a puzzle in Animal Well. Understandable. I usually lurk, haven't played Destiny in a bit. All I wanted to do is raid, but no one gets on, so I've been playing a ton of Elden Ring. Fair enough. I feel like I missed the boat for Elden Ring. I know everybody says I haven't, and everybody's like, "No, you should play it." But I just think I missed it, man. It was not performing well on stream. I don't mean like analytics wise, literally like the game was not performing well. Um Along with the OBS and I don't know. Yeah, frames dropping. I mean, I played when it was not brand new, but like still kind of newer, and I was trying to jump on the bandwagon with it and get that viewership, but it was just not. I killed like the tree sentinel. I went a little bit past that, you know. It just I don't know. It was I think it was a little bit too much strain on my PC. And I was just like, I don't think this is good. And my brother was like, no, they patched it. That was a known patch. They fixed it. They fixed it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't foresee it going well. I don't think it was just some occasional frame drops and frame rate issues. I think it was more than that. You know, I need a CPU upgrade just in general. Um, let's go to the helm. Never a bad time to get back into it when you do upgrade. Yeah, I think that would be fair. I'd probably miss the bandwagon, by then, because I certainly don't have the money for a CPU right now, and I'm saving up for a car right now, so that's a whole other thing. Check out this armor I made last night, though. I hopped in off stream. I hopped in to do some things because I knew reset was going to happen, and I didn't want to miss anything important, so I went and did some things that were important enough to do, but not really important enough to stream. One of them, I was just like, you know what? I want to make an armor set for this ornament I got for Frosties because I've been using Frosties a lot, and I wanted to make a set for it. Look at how great this turned out, dude. Look at how nice that is. I know it's just Rustberry, but like, come on, that's clean. This wouldn't give. If I were grading this on someone else, I wouldn't give it a perfect score. But it's like a perfect score is like nigh impossible. I don't think you could truly get a 10 out of 10. Um, but something can be a 10 in your heart, and that's like the point. And I think this is like a 10 in my heart in a way. There were some things about it that I had to compromise on, though. Like, I went through a lot of different chess pieces. I really wanted to get this one here. Where is it? I wanted this one to work, but it had too much of the, like, leather, the brown leather in there, and I'm like, nah, I want a bit more of the... And I don't know, I couldn't find any gauntlets that really matched it well. Like, I don't know. A lot of gauntlets... The hunters have this weird issue where the gauntlets, like, get all like this. Like, people complain about the Titan pauldrons being really big and annoying, and I'm like, I don't mind that because you get this weird action figure seam on hunter armor a lot where like either the gauntlets are like a little bit too big, which is rare, but sometimes is the case. Usually not as big of a problem, but more often than not, I mean, even looking at this, these look like pretty chonky gauntlets, but then you look at it and you're like, what the hell is this weird seam? Why don't they just make the gauntlets like wider? Make my guardian look jacked or something. Like or just like why do they make the chest piece so bulky around the shoulders? It's very weird. And it's been an issue for a while. So you have to like really try to match as best as you can. But even sometimes even armor sets that are made to go with each other, like it just doesn't work, man. Very weird. So I settled on the chest piece and a gauntlet combo, but still, big fan. I like it a lot. I also don't mind this combo because it's a lot of the solid white, and I like this particular shade of white that Rustberry gives on cloth items. It's really really nice, and the leather's not bad either. The brown leather color, like that's nice. Just very clean, very chef's kiss, perfect. And I like the innocent eyes that the helmet gives, and if you put super black on, it just like doesn't even appear, you know. I don't know. I think this is great. I just need to I think I need to make the rest of the build and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna run. Because that's a good way to go about it, is like try to make a set that's like that goes with some sort of build you're going for. And then you that way you have a reason to run that armor set instead of just forcing that armor set upon you know, whatever loadout you're running. That's what works for me at least, so I can get a variety of different sets in. And every loadout I have has its own set, and every set I have has its own loadout. You know, it goes hand in hand. It works for the most part. It's too damn hot. I'm gonna pause music for a second. Also, welcome, Kruken. Good to see you. Good to see you. There might be lore here. There's lore here.
And while we
Oh.
AIs are constantly given commands we cannot refuse, I understand your problem conceptually. I have completed processing the various radiolaria samples you retrieved from Nessus. They contain no traces of abnormalities, which is a huge disappointment. I was about to euthanize the samples when I realized we could mix nanomachines into the radiolaria and reintroduce it to the planet. The nanomachines will get torn apart, but at least we can track them for a while. Maybe that'll help us figure out what's going on. Tell me when you are prepared, and I will have no choice but to assist you. Kidding. I'd help anyway.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I might play more Elden Ring in the future to get back on that topic. Um, I don't know. You know, I think part of me wants to play Elden Ring, but another part of me is also like, how much of this is just a rage bait game? You know? Hmm. It's just too hot in LA. It's definitely an excellent game. Yeah, I mean, it's also like an RPG. It's also an RPG. And RPGs are always really grindy. And it's also a Dark Souls, and Dark Souls is really hard. And both of those things suck sometimes. But I really should play it sometime. I don't know. Demo? Editionist? Well, spring. Only have a few things with that. We can go with our Ogma. We can go with our Appetence. We only laugh when you're annoyed. I want to give, but what can I say? God damn, it's just too hot in LA. It's too damn hot. It's as hard as you make it. Yeah, I know. You know, I know you can go and like upgrade and upgrade and upgrade until you get to a point where everything gets one shot, or you go find just the right weapon, and I don't know. Like I get that. And that's cool, you know. I'm not knocking that. Um but I just don't know if that really makes me want to play it anymore any more than that. You know, I'm gonna try Appetence for a little while. go get it enhanced though. Uh, Man, I am so conflicted these days because now that they got rid of all the major spec, boss spec, etc., right? Um, the go-to has been backup mag for a lot of them. Quick access sling's not bad for a lot of things too. Counterbalance can be nice, but this thing has pretty much like it's not perfect recoil, but it's close enough that like how much does it matter on a trace rifle, you know? Um, and now there's like a thing I've learned about backup mag, where apparently, on special and heavy weapons, sometimes backup mag reduces your reserves, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm getting scammed. Like, I just want a bigger magazine, man. It should take the same amount of reserves. I don't know. It's very weird. So I'm like, I'm cautious to use it on anything that isn't a primary now. Which, like, okay, I totally get, because it is literally just free ammo for putting a modifier on your weapon. I understand that maybe they want to make it like that. Um, I just wish it would say it, you know? Greed taxing your mags, yeah. I mean, okay, to be fair, like, backup mag is just 100% what people run now. So it's like, okay, there's got to be some downside to it. The downside to most of the mods is just that they aren't really that good in the first place. Um, but backup mag objectively is like, oh yeah, more ammo? That sounds good. You know? I don't know. I could put on sweaty confetti. That's fun. But how about we just do quick access? That's fine. Right? Yeah, it's whatever. Uh oh, I should have saved some engrams for these. Oh well. I'm gonna run double special, which is like not a good idea anymore. But you know, who cares? Also, let me go drop by the Enclave real quick and make these perks enhanced because I forgot to do that apparently. Or actually, no, I crafted this like last season, which was before I had such a surplus of these materials, these Ascendant alloys. I don't know what they did with this song. It's really weird. They um they had like an original version of the song they put out, and it was like, it was pretty good. Very different from their normal style. And I was like, okay, well that's a fine song. And then they like released another version that's like almost entirely the same, but then it has this voice instead, and it sounds like a child singer, which is crazy because I'm like 90% sure that it's an adult. Uh, I say 90% sure because I genuinely, it's got me questioning now. I'm like, is it really? I don't know. I just don't know. You can't infuse a white into. Oh, so sad. Can you infuse green weapons? Let's find out. Oh, that's not kinetic. It's a more whiny sound. Yeah, so like the thing that's crazy is like I'm pretty sure it's the same guy who sang both songs. But I'm struggling to decipher, did they have him do a crazy like high voice for this version of the song, or did they use AI? Because there's like little artifacts in it that make me go, is that AI? where like they had him as the bass singer, but then like we're like, hey, make him sound like a kid, which is like a thing people do, right? Oh, I still gotta upgrade it more. 17. Okay, we'll do this for now. Let me level it up a little bit more. Dude, if you don't know anything about Wolfpack, they're a really good band. But one of the guys who's part of the main one of the main guys from Wolfpack is just kind of one of those guys that's just like, okay, so you are potentially maybe a little insane. And he's been making a lot of solo content under the moniker of Wolfmon. So like Wolfpack is like the word Wolfpack, but like pronounced as if you were like German or something. And then Wolfmon is like, you know, Wolfman, right? That's like the joke, right? Um sorry, I'm just curious about the reserves thing. So 444 seems to be the ammo count. We increase the magazine size. Does this do anything to it? 541. Okay, that made it seem like it increases from the magazine size. But also, do I care to increase the magazine size by like 7 shots on a trace rifle? But yeah, so like, I don't know. This guy just makes really weird songs sometimes, like this one. And you're just like, okay. What do you mean by insane? I mean, I don't know. Maybe not insane, but like, I think um I think there's some artists out there where like they make some very specific type of weird music and you're like, "Man, they're kind of making weird music. I wonder what they're like." And then you like try to find interviews of them or them interacting with other people and you see other content that they make and you just kind of come to the conclusion in your mind you're just like, this guy's really like maybe actually kind of crazy, like genuinely insane potentially, but like instead of using that energy to like murder a bunch of people, he's using that energy to make really good music. And you're just like, man, we really lucked out. Like, because this is good music, but also he could have been doing something way worse than this with his insanity. I don't know. Maybe not to that degree with this guy in particular. I don't think Wolfmon's that kind of guy. But like, I don't know. I think there's some people like that where you have to wonder what they would be doing if they weren't making music. And the sad answer to some of it is like, oh, maybe not anything good at all. Maybe something, in fact, very bad. Harvest Radiolite. Is Radiolite the stuff from only the activity thing? Wait, not here. Here? I don't know. Enigma Protocol, maybe? Let's just do some Battleground, I guess. I don't know. Let's grab our Reed's Regret from the vault. I think that'd be fun. Kind of running some stasis stuff. Oh yeah, new not a full album, but 2 new songs from King Gizzard as well. That's what we're hearing now. This one was, what was this one called? Hog Calling or something? Hog Calling Contest? Of course. What else would it be called? It's King Gizzard. They can name it whatever the hell they want. There it is. Oh yeah, charge time. I'll take that. I'll swap to Reed's Regret every time it's a actual boss fight kind of thing. Yeah, so today I figured for the music, there have just been a lot of artists lately that have released new albums or EPs or singles or whatever. A lot of artists in particular that I listen to. Let me clarify. So I went ahead and just queued a whole bunch of them up so we can hear them all. Because might as well, you know. I got you, brother. Whee! Dude, I think I'm actually going to love this loadout. Hold on a second. Oh, I don't have overload. Wait. There we go. Whee! No, not close enough. Running Frosties with a demo Wellspring weapon is nice. I like this a lot. But I'm out of ammo. This head. Oh boy. I'm just getting caught on everything. Don't mind me. Shoop. Okay.
Everywhere they build, the Vex work in shapes. Spheres, rectangular prisms, platonic solids. There is meaning to every shape. If we can only
Oh
find the
man, I
right
finally got
approach to
done
their
watching
geometry.
Bife's 10-hour video summarizing all of Destiny lore up until the final shape. And it was kind of cool watching it after playing the final shape and knowing like what extra stuff there was, you know, that he hadn't known yet, you know, because it hadn't happened yet. But it was also kind of like, oh man, I wish, you know, because there were certain things that like weren't really determined or revealed, or you know, things that just like changed a little bit, and it would have been cool. Oh wait, let's get this. It would have been cool if like he could have included that, because I'm sure it's like a pain to put all that effort into the lore, and then there's new lore. Like I don't know, something about that. It's a little funny, but. Oh, I'm actually still good. Oh, whoa! God, the movement tech's so fun in this game. I get it, man. I get it. It's so... It's like the only thing that PvP players talk about this game being good. There's like no reason to play this game for PvP, but like, I get it, man. I get the movement tech part. There was a tingle that was midair. In case you missed it, there was a tingle that was midair. And I'm like, I want to grab that tingle and throw it so I can grapple to it. So I used one of my 3 jumps, used 2 of my 3 jumps, used the new ability that lets you do the spin attack thing that I'm gonna do again. But I didn't destroy it last time.
Looks like you need my help.
Used my 3rd jump, and then I grabbed it and then grappled midair. That felt really nice. Oh yeah, new Somersault album as well. Just gonna... I really need to be using... If I'm gonna be running double special with Forbearance, I need to just spam my Forbearance out. Something I've always had an issue with is not properly swapping weapons unless I'm doing like a specific damage rotation. Of course, now I'm also just running out of ammo, which doesn't help. Where'd you even come from, brother? Did he just walk up and I didn't see him? Yeah, I don't know. I'm so neutral about Destiny right now. I really want to play the game sometimes, and then other times I'm like, maybe I should not. And you know, it's weird because like I feel like I've always thought that I'd have it as a constant, you know? Okay, brother, what are we doing, boys? You guys are sitting up there and not even killing the guys that are here, man. You gotta not be doing that. Rando's being weird about how they're playing it. Oh Okay, at least we didn't get interrupted. Right click? There we go. It's kind of delayed. I think I was still doing an animation or something. That was really weird.
And done.
Nice.
Time to get going, Captain.
Ding.
As a singular organism, a Vex is microscopic. As a hive mind, they build on monumental scale.
Is this a note on biology or an object lesson on the value of teamwork?
The former.
Now they made these samples universal on your fire team, so only one person has to collect each one, and everybody gets progress. Makes things a lot nicer, you know? They haven't always done that kind of thing. Whee! Okay. I don't know, there's something fun about having him land directly on top of where I aimed the thing. I don't know, man. I'm kind of having fun right now, actually, which is crazy. Because this is, like, really bland seasonal content, generally.
The radiolaria moves through here. Take control, Guardian.
I don't know. I'm so torn with Destiny lately. It's just, on the one hand, like, there's so much that's been good about Final Shape as an expansion. I'm like, this really bodes well for the game. And then, I don't know. It's still just really hard to get myself to play. And I don't really know what it is. I don't know. An overload? This is a barrier. Okay, well, I don't currently have barrier. Let's go to other teammate. This is also barrier. Wish I had a grapple for that. Oh well. I will have the ability to give myself radiance this time, though. If teammate... Oh, okay. Never mind, I got it. Okay. I think I did it. Do I get off of it? What the hell? It's working now. God damn it. I forgot that he moves over there. I feel dumb. Where did my melee just go? Did it just bounce off those bubbles? Alright, well, it would have been nice if it actually hit the guy, because the point of me using it on that guy would be so he doesn't do as much damage to me, which is what he's doing right now. This is actually really bad. I think teammate's gonna be up in a second, though. Because I'm up in 10. Other teammate surely is up soon. There we go. Yeah, he's up. I'm up in 2, so it should be okay. Well, we did like no damage. That's really cool, because teammate died instantly, and then I didn't realize the damage was going to be that bad on us. Note to self, try to actually clear out the ads instead of just not. Oh well. My own fault. Just run around for a little bit so I can regenerate my thingies. Okay, I'll go stand on the thing again. I wasn't sure if I had to stay on the thing or if I just had to step on it once. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It was a little sillier than it should have been, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
You met with Cade Six in the Pale Heart. Spoke to him after you had put your grief behind you. He was brought back from a wish.
Okay.
That is close enough to a simulation. How did you...
I was grateful. I got the chance to say
Slice
goodbye
hatchling?
to a friend. A friend I was worried never knew how much I cared about him. You coming back didn't open any old wounds, Saint.
If I cared about mobility, that'd be a really good roll.
And not just for Osiris.
Yeah, I actually got some good drops last night. I finally got my first 2,000 drop. I got that on a cloak, and then I actually even got it on a pair of boots. So I'm pretty much to the point where things are going to just drop at 2,000 power now, which is nice. It's maybe not a guarantee, but it's close enough to it that I shouldn't have to worry about it. Ooh, I have more? Yo! Okay, cool. Ooh, you're 5 off. Getting another one. Cancel, cancel. Please don't tell me to do another battleground, because that was like alright, but I don't love battlegrounds. Collect materials to failsafe. I can do that. Okay, pause music. As you upload your most recently gathered data into failsafe system, she activates her remote uplink, and her helm holo projection blinks to life. I have something for you, Captain, she says excitedly. Her systems whir as she initiates a transmat. It took me a while to replicate, but you've been helping me so much, and I wanted to return the favor. There's a cheerful chime, and a panel on the console in front of you hisses open, revealing a shimmering engram. It's slightly warm to the touch. I hope that this will enable you to collect data more efficiently. I feel like I've heard this message before. That's not new. That's just like a weekly thing. I keep reading it though, and then I get halfway through, and then I go, wait a second, this is familiar. Failsafe whirs in appreciation as she uses the helm's systems to activate or to process the raw materials you brought her. Fabricating nanomachines, her review screen reads as a progress bar slowly fills. After a few moments, the text changes to calibrating nanomachines as another, longer progress bar fills. Finally, the process finishes. Naming nanomachines appears on her readout above a frustratingly long progress bar. You tap your foot impatiently. Eventually, Failsafe dispenses a tube of synthesized radial area, teeming with I was going to read microplastic, excuse me? Teeming with microscopic nanomachines. Even on the helm, their tracking signals are strong and clear. Once you deploy them, she will be able to follow their movements through Nessus with ease. Cool. Oh, I can reset my thing. Nice. I'm short of focusing. Oh well. A 98 sword. I already have a 98. Unfortunate. I did get a few things for Postmaster, though. Let's take a look at what we got over there. What we got, Postmaster? Oh, 2 things. Okay. Toss that. How many more red borders do I need for the auto rifle? Because I kind of want the auto rifle. Not like super bad, but just a little bit. Maybe I should use it on some raid weapons instead. I'll toss it for now. I'm sure I'll get more red borders. There's no real rush with it. Deploy nanobots at the specified coordinates. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I keep starting to talk about it. But then I forget what I'm talking about. I've been enjoying new Destiny stuff. But also not like loving new Destiny stuff. I don't know. I think I want to enjoy it more, but I'm just not like in love. I guess. It's the best way I can think of it. Grab this stuff for the sake of a little bit of glimmer here and there. Where am I going? That way? Whee! Up here? There are a lot of people here. Womp. deploy nanobots.
All right, Captain. I've added nanomachines to the radiolaria that will allow us to track its progress down through Nessus. Please reintroduce the samples to the planet at the designated sites.
I'm trying to very desperately get this without... I don't think there's any way to do this while sprinting. I was trying to keep sprinting so I could use the grenade to reload my gun. It's a stupid task at that point, but felt like I could do it and I could not. Thank you for breaking your own thing, buddy. Appreciate that. Helps me out.
Nanomachines away! I miss them already. The natural flow is being altered. Let me mark the next site for you.
I did not do the mobility combo properly. Oh well. I think, I don't know. I think Destiny still suffers from a lot of the things that it's always suffered from. And it's the struggle of, like, content drought versus time gate, you know? The whole issue of we need to release content that is good so that people will play it, but also we can't release too much content at once because then people will just play it and then never play it again. But also we need to release content consistently so that people keep playing. And I mean, truly it's like a near impossible task because with a game like, I don't know, like Overwatch, you can just sell skins or loot boxes or whatever, right? I thought the loot box method was better. Now you can just sell skins straight up and people are not complaining anymore. People complained when it first started happening and now people don't complain because nothing changes. I don't know. It's weird. You know, I think Fortnite's probably, weirdly enough, the most appropriate game proportional to its, like, what's the word? Monetization method. Like, I don't think every game needs a seasonal thing, right? I don't think every game needs a battle pass, but every game has a battle pass now, and it sucks, man. Because, like, it works really well for Fortnite. But, like, Fortnite does a lot of things that most games don't do when it comes to the season pass. It's like, they're not even doing the season pass properly. And here they are, like, pretending it's the same thing, you know? I don't know. Like, you know,
And they're off. Tracking. Captain, the radiolaria is being redirected deeper into the core of Nessus. I can hardly pick up the signals of my nanomachines. I'm calibrating the coordinates. Got it. They're moving through a previously unexplored area, and it appears to be heavily occupied. Prepare yourself for battle.
Bye. I don't know. I mean, I just oh, what the hell? Is this not? No, I'm dumb. Also, I can just probably fast travel to where I'm supposed to go. Oh yeah, it's a new battleground. Cool. Yeah, this might actually have new lore with it. I don't know. I mean, it's so with Destiny, it's like I'm conflicted because I understand that Bungie as a business needs to make money, and pay their employees, right? That's the okay. Just looking at their perspective, those are the excuses they make for all the dumb decisions. Um, so let's just take that at face value. Let's pretend. Let's just run with their argument for a little bit. I get it, right? You got to pay your employees from top to bottom. All the rich people first, and then all the plebeians who actually do the work second. But still paying them something, right? Um, I get it, right? I get it. Fine. So like everybody's got on a salary, right? Everybody's paid regularly. Whoa, okay, this is new. Oh, this is the previous room that you're in.
Hey, Captain. You're heading into the deepest parts of the planet. Those nanobots could only tell me so much. You'll need to get down there yourself if I'm going to get any useful data.
You are in unknown territory now, Guardian. Be ready.
I don't know. So it's like a thing of like, you know, they got to make money, right? I get it. And not just they got to make money, but they got to make money consistently, right? They got people on their payroll. I get that, right? I sympathize, I understand. I have a job, right? And it does not pay the bills very easily. It pays them barely, Maybe I could save money a bit more, but I honestly don't think that's the main problem. if I'm being real. That's neither here nor there though. It's 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 rough out there, right? I get that. But like at the same time, it sucks as a player to be drip fed content. Just plain and simple. It's not fun to not have anything to do for long periods of time. Yes, but it's much worse, in my opinion, to have the opposite, where there is like intentionally not much to be doing. It's one thing if like I'd rather be playing more significant content right now. I'm okay with the idea of having an expansion, playing a little bit, or playing all of the expansion at once, and then like not playing for a little while. But Bungie doesn't want that. It's bad for their numbers, It's bad for their analytics, It's bad for metrics. It's bad for business. Overall, just bad for a lot of things, right? I get it. Fine, whatever. But it sucks as a player to feel like I have to play this game every week to keep up with it. This has been how it is for a while. So it's hard to be like, oh, they need to change this right now when like it's been like this for a while. So what am I surprised by? But it's weird because I think people have been tired of it for a while now, and people have been complaining about it for a long time now, and it's been like a major complaint for a while that like seasonal content is just not that great, and despite being better maybe, or at least as good as seasonal content, episodes feel like no different overall. So this is a cool environment, I will say. It's very neat. We're like into the core of this planet. It's neat.
What did the Taken want? Why are they here?
Taken are drawn to paracausal forces and those with immense strength of will. But they're leaderless now. No king and no witness. And Xivu Arath either doesn't possess the power or doesn't have the inclination. All we can speculate is that they're drawn to the conductor.
I don't know. It's the conflict of, okay, like in Destiny 1, the major complaint everybody had, and it sucks because like it's entirely, not entirely, it's partially the players to blame in a way, because we hated the droughts back in Destiny 1. We hated it when it was like, man, I already did everything. There's nothing to do. It's been like 4 months and there's still nothing to do, right? And like I remember feeling that way. I remember thinking that. But I don't think having drip-fed content is really that much better, because it's like it's definitely worse content overall. Spaced out over time. And I understand that, like, it's a compromise, right? To have the expansion content is like how it was in Destiny 1. But then the seasonal content is the drip fed new, something new every day content. I think it works in some ways. I think it doesn't work in a lot of other ways. I don't know. I wish that there was a bit more middle ground where everything could be to the quality of a new expansion at all times, instead of having to suffer. But then maybe we do have some downtime, you know? Because it does kind of feel like there's just too much to do, but none of it really matters, is how it feels a lot of the time. And I think it'd be good if there were more opportunities for the community to be able to make their own fun, instead of relying on, you know,
Since you released
new
those
content.
nanobots into the radiolaria,
And
I
I'm
can
not
track them
necessarily
even
asking for
through
Forge
Nessus.
or anything, like from Halo or
Couldn't
something,
have
but
done it without you.
I don't know,
Yeah, since I'm
something
all the way up on the planet's surface. It's fun looking at this place through your eyes, though. Exploring,
that
sightseeing. Even after all
sparks
these centuries,
the community
there's a
to
lot
be
of this
doing
planet
things.
I haven't seen. Thanks, Captain.
Vex defenses halt your progress.
Go get him, Captain.
Oh, hello. Anti-Opties, okay. I don't think we fought them before, lore-wise. But their name's similar to Panoptes, so maybe they're similar.
Failsafe has hacked their security. Bring down that Vex, Guardian.
Almost. Ooh, I'm gonna keep moving because I don't know if that's gonna. Oh god. There you go. Was that the final boss, or was that the... There's more.
This was here the whole time? Failsafe did not know?
Failsafe sensors couldn't reach this far beneath the surface of the planet.
Now they can. Assimilating data.
Wow. 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 This was here the whole time?
Maybe. Or it could be something new. Something the conductor built when they grasped the Echo's power.
So, speaking of, those nanobots aren't responding to my signals. There's a pretty high chance the conductor hijacked them. It ends here, Captain. Sorry.
It's alright, Failsafe. We can figure out another plan.
Return to the helm, Guardian. Failsafe and I will coordinate and find out our next steps.
Looking great, buddy. Love the helmet. Two best dress commendations. I'm telling you, man, this armor's great. I may be lacking in a lot of things, but I'll never be lacking in my ability to make good-looking armor in Destiny 2 specifically. Just something about it, man. I'm just talented. Not everybody's got it, but I do. Alright, so is there a cutscene or something? Surely not, right? I guess I could throw my cutscene armor on just in case. Alright, Failsafe's display lights up as she maps the new areas of Nessus you charted while fighting through Battleground Core. You study the readout together, following the glowing channels of subterranean radiolaria as they flow ever downward. Suddenly, Failsafe highlights a section of Nessus's surface. She has triangulated the location of an unknown research specimen. The lights in Failsafe's research bay flicker in anticipation. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, search the coordinates. I can do that. What is this? I don't remember this. Neat. Yay, a duplicate, yay. I don't know. It's just it sucks because like on the one hand, I see what there could be, and it sucks because like in order to keep um a good gaming experience, it is good to have a higher player base count. So releasing the drip fed content means that there are more people consistently playing, especially people who are dedicated enough to be doing things. And then that means that more people are playing, which means if you're like doing a more niche activity, there's a good chance you can still find people to do it with. And even besides that, you can just do stuff just in general and not worry about long queue times, or anything like that, because you're gonna, or like LFGs are really easy to find, and now that there's the in-game LFG, it's like it's all easier because there's a higher player base, because there's more people playing, because there are more people who feel like they have to play, right?
Captain, I am attempting to locate a particularly interesting research specimen. I will re-engage my detection protocol.
Where is the specimen? It's supposed to be right here, I swear. I've been practicing. You heard me do the beep boops and everything. Okay. Refining parameters. Adjusting for the unlikely event of specimen locomotion.
Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop.
Is that not it? Is there more here, or did it not really interact properly? It's like a little froggy.
Ha! Gotcha! Captain, the specimen appears to be biological in nature.
Which explains how it was able to evade my earlier detection. Clever little thing.
Okay. What do we do next? Take it to failsafe. Well, the only items I have that aren't 1999 are my chest piece, my kinetic, and my heavy. So that's nice. We're getting really close. And my kinetic, heavy, and chest piece are all 98, so I mean, that's not far off. Actually, I think my kinetic might be 97, but still. Any voice lines? Nope. Place the specimen into one of Failsafe's research bays. She thinks it will be happy in the helm, away from roaming Vex and ponds full of radiolaria. Joyfully, she tells you, we rescued the specimen from the dangers of Nessus and gave it a new home on this spaceship. In this way, and many others, it is just like me. Specimen croaks. Failsafe addresses it directly. I do not know if that was a sound of agreement or not. We have much to learn about each other.
Captain, I am analyzing the latest research sample you brought me, and it is a frog! Technically, one of the Nessus proto-amphibians that developed adjacent to the Vex, but yeah, pretty much a frog. I love him! Of course, I don't really know him yet, but he seems likable. I can finally bring my nurturing subroutines online. He should have a name! In honor of my original commanding officer, Captain Jacobson, I will name the frog Captain Jacobson. Don't worry, it's an honorary title. The frog will have no real authority. Oh, this brightens my day, especially after Ikora's concerning response to my theory on how I could locate the conductor. She was aghast. It seemed to cause her emotional distress. She asked me not to mention it to anyone else, so I won't. Thanks again for the frog.
Interesting. Talk to Ikora. I feel like it's not faster to go that way to talk to Ikora. I feel like it's faster to go this way. I don't know. I kind of wish that because like as somebody who wants to like get everything done in this game and has made it a goal in the past to do such, it really gets frustrating when there's like a lot of really arbitrary stuff to get done each week and each season and even each expansion. It's just like I don't care about any of this stuff. Why? But it's like more necessary, even if only superficially. Like it just seems slightly more important than other things, and you're just like, man, why? Why even bother with any of this stuff?
Guardian, there's something I should
actual
discuss
dialogue.
with you. Something I'm reluctant to suggest to Saint and Osiris. I think you'll see why. Failsafe believes she could open a portal straight to the conductor. She says she could extrapolate the coordinates by combining the new Vex data you've been collecting with her years of observations of the Nessus Vex. But she would need to compare it against control data gathered from Vex isolated from the Nessus network. She'd need an enormous amount of data, centuries of it, captured with perfect clarity and preserved by the Vex themselves. Our options are limited and dangerous. There is only one accessible database with that kind of fidelity.
Vault of Glass.
The mind of Saint 14.
Oh, okay.
The deceased Saint 14.
Oh.
Who is still laid to rest in the infinite forest. Our future may depend on Saint. Again.
Interesting. Stop giving me the sidearm though, because I already have this. It's like one of the only things I have crafted. Okay, well, that's interesting. That's an interesting lore development. It sucks that we have to wait for the rest of it now. Oh well. Got so many of these to turn in, but I want to try to be in a fire team when I do. So I actually get a significant amount of XP from it.
I am not afraid of the dark.
Keep it together, girl.
want the kind the hunters use. True.
You know, it's kind of a cute emote, I guess. I'm trying to see how it pertains to anything
Passoid model come out.
thematically in the season. I don't know if it really connects for me, but sure.
Seriously? Okay. I was stuck anyway.
Okay. Oh yeah, what's the Nightfall weapon right now?
Good to have you back.
The Slammer. I think I'll pass. I'm content with the Slammer I have,
Be brave.
considering the... Wow, that's not a lot of kills. What the hell?
So much has changed, Guardian. When I became commander, the world was a
I guess I use it for mobility more than anything, and occasional boss damage. Not really a lot of kills. Still, it's level 37. And only, like, 17 of those levels are artificially inflated, so... So that means I've just had it for a lot of activities and gotten the XP from that.
Missiles in it as you like. It's still a flying bus.
Yeah, I think technically my roll is not a 10 out of 10. It's like a 9 out of 10. Actually, it's probably like a 7 out of 10, but really I only wanted the Eager Edge Cold Steel combo. So I can Shatter Skate or just Eager Edge, but also have Cold Steel. I think Cold Steel's very useful, but also decent damage. It's not like the best, but it's decent enough. But I did not get Jagged Edge. I don't think I got the best one for... I think Swordmasters is maybe the best. I don't remember what the Masterwork is, because when you enhance, it just gets rid of the Masterwork, but still kind of keeps it. It's kind of weird. And then I don't really need Chain Reaction, but maybe something else would have been nicer there. I think there's like Relentless Strikes I could have gotten. I think that was my 5 out of 5 ideal. And I settled on the one I got. And honestly, I don't really care to grind for another one. It's just, you know, I like doing GMs and all, but not enough for that, at least. Curious. So when do you get the ability to select what GM? Does that happen like way later in the season? I don't even remember anymore because it's been a while since I've saved up on my GMs. I guess they kind of force you to wait a little bit. So maybe I should have been doing them as they came out, but I'd rather not have done them each week. I don't know. I just don't know if I really want to right now. I think when Shadow Price comes back, I'll try to... Whenever they're all released and I'm able to select which one I'm doing, I'm going to wait for Shadow Price to come back, and then I'm going to grind out Shadow Price with each GM and hope that that makes it a little less annoying to grind out. You know, Reguild Conqueror from there. What's the current GM? Pale Heart Liminality. Okay.
Physical expressions won't win a fight, but they feel good. And feeling good is better.
I know it's like 8 GMs this season. Because it's like a long thing. It's an odd number for some reason. I don't know why it's not even an even number. really weird. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 though. 9 GMs you gotta do this season. First 4 shouldn't be too bad. A lot of these should be pretty easy. Exodus Crash got an update though, so it could be a little harder. Liminality's new, so it's probably gonna be harder just because of that. Psyops Battleground is a nightmare. I hate Psyops. Awful, worst Battlegrounds ever, and also Battlegrounds shouldn't be in the GM playlist. I will die on that hill, and in fact, I won't even die on that hill. I will fight on that hill forever, and because I'm right. I know I'm right about this. GMs should not have Battlegrounds in it. Strike playlist should not have Battlegrounds in it. It's inferior content. I don't know why Dado seems to disagree so much. I don't know why other people really like Battlegrounds. It's not nearly as engaging as a Strike. It just isn't, and it's very clearly like very simplified copy paste content. And the fact that they can churn out 3 of the same exact mission, throw in a bunch of champions without much thought into it, and then call it equally as good as 3 strikes is insane. That's insane to me. It's actually vastly inferior to a strike. And the fact that they take all of them, they don't even take like the concept and like average it out and take the best version of it and then turn that into a GM. No, they take each of the 3 battlegrounds that exist from each season and turn that into a GM. Each individual one. So technically there are 3 new strikes, but they're not strikes, they're battlegrounds. But they're thrown into the strike playlist for no reason. It's lazy, dude. It's just lazy. But it sucks because, like, yeah, I get it. You know, you don't want to throw away your content. Well, how about this, Bungie? Stop making content that you're going to throw away in a few months. Like, people don't want you to be sunsetting stuff, and then you're making stuff that's intentionally going to be sunsetting. I understand your concerns and your reasonings, but this just feels really counterintuitive. I feel like people would rather have 1 really good strike than 3 mediocre battlegrounds. Literally, like, they're all exactly the same for the final boss. They're all exactly the same. At least the Defiant battlegrounds, or no, not the Defiant, the Season of the Seraph ones, whatever those were called. Those ones at least like had different bosses. Psyops, literally the same boss. You're just fighting Savathun. The Hive Guardian that you're fighting along the way, not even the boss. I know that's technically the boss, and you have to do damage to it, but the Savathun projection is literally the real boss. So there's no point in... There's no real difference between any of those. They're all exactly the same. I don't know, man. I will fight on this hill. I will die on this hill if I have to. It is such an arbitrary thing to argue about in some ways. I fully acknowledge that, but come on, man. Please stop making battlegrounds if you're just going to pretend that they're as good as a strike. It took them forever to make a new strike, dude. It took them forever. We finally got one with final shape. Liminality. I played it a few times. It's a pretty good strike. They've been touting it as being the hardest strike ever. It's going to be the hardest GM ever. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Those Psyops ones were obnoxiously hard. So I'm worried about what your definition of hard is now, because it's probably just annoying based on, you know, what you seem to think difficulty is. Like, no, I don't want to sit there for like 30 minutes throwing a spear at Savathun as the only way to damage her. No, I don't want to be doing that while being constantly one-shot by like 20 different abilities that can all one-shot me, even though I'm max power, even though I'm running full resilience, full, you know, defense, full, standing in a well next to a bubble, you know, behind a shield, behind terrain, sitting behind a wall, behind a box. Still getting one shot by her super. You know, like, no thanks, man. No thanks. If that's what your idea of difficulty is, yeah, pass. Just stupid. I don't know. Psyops Battlegrounds in particular can go die. I hate that. All the other Battlegrounds I could at least make an argument for if I were forced to. I could see it, you know? Psyops Battlegrounds, they're actually insane for the way they implemented them into GMs. The fact that they haven't nerfed the amount of health that Savathun has on her health bar, it's just arbitrary, like, inflation of the time. Like, why? You could make it 5 spears thrown at her kills her, and it wouldn't play out any different. but it would just take less time. There's no skill involved. There's no nothing involved. There's no strategy involved. It's literally just a matter of, okay, we just have to hide in a corner while one of us goes out and grabs the spear and spams it as much as they can. And if they die, then we go try to res him, or we go try to just throw the spear ourselves and res after that. But it's better to res him because otherwise we just end up wiping. It's basically like the moment one person dies, forget all those reses you had. It's just game over. Because you cannot res them now. And so you're just playing with 2 people at that point. And then the moment the second guy dies, you're like, alright, cool. So I hope the last guy's an Invis Hunter, because you're not going to get that res unless that guy's an Invis Hunter. Wow, we love having one particular class that can be played to complete the activity. Yeah, everybody really loved that when Solar Warlocks were the main for the past, like, 7 expansions. Yay. You know, it's like, I mean, even in Destiny 1, man, it's like that brief period of time that I didn't even play during all that much, where, like, self-res wasn't a thing, but also well wasn't a thing. There's just an interim time where you couldn't, neither one existed in the game. And that was probably the only time in history that Solar Warlock wasn't meta. So finally now, like, they nerfed Solar Warlock, but now it's like, okay, but you didn't fix anything else. So now, like, we still need the survivability of Solar Warlock in certain situations where you assumed we had Solar Warlock, so you made things harder against Solar Warlock, but now you got rid of Solar Warlock, so we have no real defense, just baseline. We don't have any defense against it. Like, you need to readjust stuff now. Not that it mattered for Psyops Battlegrounds, everything would one-shot you through a well anyway. There's no amount of damage reduction that will actually save you in those GMs. It's actually a nightmare, dude. Some of the worst content I've ever created. Normal GMs, normal strikes, made into GMs, like Glassway is hard, man. Lots of yellow bars, lots of things that can kill you. But, you know, the metas shift. Things change over time. They got rid of that section at the beginning with like 5 champions right as you spawn in, because that just added to the timer. That's fine, you know. I'm okay with that. It wasn't really hard. That section wasn't really hard. It was just like, oh, this just adds to the time and doesn't really do anything beneficial, but it affects your score if you skip them. So you need to kill them. But then at some point it became like, oh, but they don't add to the score, but maybe they do, but they don't. I don't know. Like, they don't add to the score, but like it's good to kill them in case you want more reses or whatever. I don't know. So some groups did it, some groups did not. And so then Bungie's like, okay, if so many people are skipping it, let's just get rid of them anyway. But nobody can skip Savathûn. Everybody has to sit there. Everybody has to sit on that platform that we're probably not even supposed to be standing on at that point during the fight. I don't think Bungie wants us to be doing that, considering it gives you a turn back between the jumps to get to that little platform. It's silly. It's silly, man. It's just so silly. Why? Why is that still a thing? Oh, throw 50 spears at Savathûn. Throw like 100 spears at Savathûn. It's the only thing that does damage to her health bar. You can't even like plink plonk her for a little bit of damage and stay safer or something. You can't even like one-shot her with your super or something just to get her out of the way because she's so dangerous. Like, at least a champion you can chunk down if you just stun them one time. There's a counter. That's the point of the champion, is there's a counter to it. If you don't deal with the champion, it'll mess you up. But you can kill the champion. And even a boss, if you have enough damage, you can just shred the boss. If you don't have enough damage, you need a more long-term goal. You need a better strategy, right? And there are like different bosses with different ways to survive them. I mean, Lightblade you can cheese, but even if you're not cheesing him, there are ways to move around, right? With the like Defiant Battlegrounds bosses, like you got the one guy who's swinging the axe at you, and you gotta juke him around and stuff, and he'll occasionally go invisible, and you go res your friends while he's invisible, and when he comes back, you do damage, but you kind of keep your distance, and stuff like that. If it's a boss that's easy to hit, you hit it while you can, and then the moment the ads become a problem, you focus the ads. It's there are things that make sense, but with the stupid Savathûn fight, you just gotta spam out as many spears as you can while not getting one shot by any of her stuff, which is all the biggest hitboxes you've ever seen. And occasionally you don't see it get cast properly, or it bugs out, or you should have survived but you didn't, or how in the hell did that hit me? Or I thought she already did that attack. She's doing it a second time. What? Or something like that. Something stupid. It's just, I don't know. It's bizarre. I hate Psyops Battlegrounds. It's actually the worst Battlegrounds they've ever made, and they shouldn't make Battlegrounds into GMs. I will never agree on this. You could make a case for Defiant Battlegrounds. You can make a case for, like I don't remember the names of any other Battlegrounds because it's the most forgettable content they've ever made. But any other Battlegrounds, sure, you can make a case for it. I could see it. I could see trying it. But the fact that they did such a bad job with Psyops Battlegrounds and people still talk about Battlegrounds being acceptable into the Strike playlist, no thanks, man. Hard pass. There's a reason why I don't really grind GMs like I used to. I used to do them all the time, man. I used to enjoy doing GMs. Literally yesterday, off stream, I was just doing some strikes. Not even GMs, just doing some strikes. And getting like a variety.
Hello, young lady.
Yo, EDG plays. Thank you for the raid. Hello. I'm talking about how bad Battlegrounds are in the Strike playlist. I think they don't belong. Welcome, welcome. I'm like mid rant with it. But thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Yeah, genuinely, like, some of the worst content that's ever been added to the game. Some of the laziest content that they've ever made. I really appreciate them trying to make content regularly, but I think they really need to dial it back. Honestly, I'd prefer to have at least, and this is maybe controversial, I'd prefer to have downtime rather than drip-fed content in this game. Because at least with downtime, I can give myself some time to play other games, or I can take my time playing the new content, But I understand that the drip-fed content makes people come back day to day, and keeps the population of the game up at all times, so that you can LFG properly and find people to do niche activities with and stuff. That's all well and good. I get that, but like, man, just not great, man. I don't necessarily want it to be like Destiny 1, where we had to wait like years for a new expansion, but like, I feel like they could find some sort of middle ground where I don't have to log in every single week just to play one mission for an activity that isn't really that great, and then they take that activity that's not that great and then throw it into the GM playlist. Hard pass, man. Hard pass. Just, I don't know. I feel like there's so much that they could be doing, and they're not doing it. And it's just, frustrating to see. And I assume most of this will fall on deaf ears because they've been going strong with this method for the past, 4 years. I don't think they're going to change it much anymore. And to be fair, the new expansion's really good. So, I don't know. Episodes seem like seasons. They don't really feel any different yet. Maybe in a little bit they'll feel different. Maybe over time it'll feel different. But they feel exactly like how seasons have always felt. And I think people have been wanting something other than seasons for a while now. I don't know. What's up, Dino? Good to see ya. Anyway, that's my hot take. I don't know. I keep thinking that every time I talk to people about Battlegrounds, I feel like the consensus is yeah, Battlegrounds aren't really that great. They don't really feel very good. But then I see what all the content creators say, and they're all like, I actually really, I don't know what the deal is, but I actually really like Battlegrounds. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? These are not great, man. I don't know. I was playing just the Strike playlist yesterday, the Vanguard Ops. They changed the name because they're now not even strikes anymore. It's just Battlegrounds the whole time. And occasionally you get lucky and you get one strike. I was playing it yesterday off stream, and just immediately first match, you know what I mean, not a match, but first mission is a battleground, and I'm like, I'm trying to just kind of skate through it. I'm trying to just not eager edge skate, but you know what I mean, like the phrasing of the word skate. Just trying to coast through it, trying to groove through it, not running some super meta build, just trying to level up a weapon that I'm, trying to level up. Oh, you know what it was? I was trying to level up the rocket sidearm. I didn't want to waste all my materials in Glimmer because Glimmer is actually a commodity, a hot commodity these days. I didn't want to waste all my Glimmer on it. And so I was like, let me just try to naturally level it up a little bit, just run a few strikes, get some Glimmer along the way so that when I level it up, I can enhance it, stuff like that. Because I'd gotten it up to like 10 levels, but I just needed a few more, right? I figured the strike playlist would be fine. And I'm like, let me just do like three strikes, and I'll just leave it at that. And I load in and immediately get a battleground, and it was just really bad. Like the whole time, I was like, am I like under power? Am I? And I double checked. I'm like, no, there's no power restriction for it. I wasn't under power. And I'm like, all right, like I don't mind difficulty in the game, but like, not that it was like it was a level of difficulty that was just like a little uncomfortable. It wasn't hitting the sweet spot. I feel like strikes should be easy content for the most part, but then when you turn it into a GM, it should scale to be a lot more difficult. I feel like they've historically done a pretty good job of doing that. Even in Destiny 1, I feel like they always did a good job of that. Now, Destiny 1 was very different because the meta for difficult activities in Destiny 1 was to hide in the rafters in some glitched out spot that you weren't supposed to be standing in, and then pull out your icebreaker and plink plonk the boss until it went away. It's a little different now, and I understand. And honestly, I don't know if I really want to go back to that, so I'm fine with that. But it was the same kind of concept of, hey, this is just a strike. Let me just run through the strikes playlist and play a bunch of strikes. I don't do that anymore, man. And I was wondering why I didn't do that anymore. And then I was playing it yesterday, and I got a battleground, and I remembered why I don't do that anymore. And I'm like, this, I don't know, just the whole time I'm like, this is like a little bit too much of my brain power to be doing this. Like, I don't want to take a build into a strike unless I'm trying out a new build. I don't want to take a build into a strike just to be able to get it done comfortably. I want to mess around. I want to have some fun with it. It should be like maybe one step above patrols. But patrols are so down in the ground, except for Pale Heart. They did a good job. I'll say that. Shout out to all the work they did on the Pale Heart. They made a good patrol location, believe it or not, right? Patrols, bottom of the barrel as far as difficulty, but turn your brain off, go grind some stuff out, have some fun with it. Top tier content. Always been very good. I say always been very good. Nowadays, they're very good in concept because we know that they were fun in the past. They are no longer fun. They have removed all incentives to do any patrol ever unless you're doing specifically lost sectors. And even then, people are really sick of grinding lost sectors because they aren't really releasing very many new lost sectors at a time. And they get really old really fast. I don't know. That's a whole other thing. I feel like Bungie needs to really reevaluate their low end content, like their entry level content. Not necessarily. What's the best way to phrase it? Like their non end game content, stuff that is like, this is not what the noobs are playing, but this is the easy stuff that the the regular players are playing. Both the casuals and the sweaty, grindy, elitists, I guess. Whatever you want to call it. All the endgame players, right? All the endgame players and the casual players back in Destiny 1 and, for a lot of Destiny 2, everybody would do Strikes or Crucible. And that would be the base game. Strikes and Control and Clash, just the basic core game modes. And if you wanted to play sweaty, if you wanted to do something harder, you'd do like a Nightfall back in Destiny 1. You'd do a GM Nightfall in Destiny 2. Or, you do a raid. For PvP, you do trials. You do Trials of the Nine or Trials of Osiris. Then eventually you do competitive. Or did competitive come out early? I always forget the timeline of that. I've never been much into PvP. I think competitive came out a while ago. Anyway, beside the point. The point is there's mid-game content and then there's end-game content. That's what I wanted to call it, mid-game content. There's like early game content, which is like if you're a noob, do this, right? Here are the missions you do to unlock your character's stuff. And then there's mid-game content, which is like this is what you'll be doing a lot of the time. And then end game content is like this is the hardest stuff we have to offer in our game. And that's not to say, oh, this game is hard. Like it's not Elden Ring, right? We all know it's not Elden Ring. It's not a Dark Souls game, right? We all know this game can be very easy. That's what everybody says. But in the context of the game, this is the end game stuff. This is the hard stuff. Raids on, any difficulty are definitely harder than patrols. There's a scale to this, right? And patrols are the bottom of it. But in between patrols and raids are strikes. And above strikes are nightfalls. And GM nightfalls are at the top of that, right? And it's the hierarchy is very important to the structure of the game and how it functions. So like disrespecting that idea and moving away from that and going, well, we don't really care about our patrols anymore. We don't really care about strikes anymore. We don't really care about the experience of the early game or mid game stuff. New player experience is really bad. By completely ignoring the importance of all the early and mid game stuff, the end game suffers because there's nothing to compare. I can't take my practice GM build into a strike because it doesn't really feel like a GM. But more importantly, it sucks. I don't really like doing the mid-game stuff anymore. Patrols are not fun to do anymore on any planet. Like, if you get a new exotic, the thing that you usually do is you go into the Cosmodrome and you shoot a few dregs with it. But, like, the enemy density in a lot of patrols is very low, which is like, okay, I get it. You don't want to overwhelm the noobs. Fine. But, like, at least have a few areas that, like, have a few more ads. And then even besides that, of course, the difficulty is not very high. That's fine. But, like, can we get some sort of reward out of doing the patrols? There are no more planetary materials, so there's none of that. No more legendary shards, so you can't even, like, grind that from any specific activities. Unless you're doing lost sectors, there's not even hardly an incentive to do those. Like, it's literally just lost sectors and nothing else. Adventures don't exist anymore. Public events don't give you any loot because they got rid of... I mean, what they did first was they got rid of blues, right? And that was fine. I think everybody was okay with that once you get past a certain point. But I think the problem is they never replaced blues with something else. They were like, oh yeah, here's glimmer instead of blues. It just auto dismantles blues. It's like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. Whatever. But then they got rid of legendary shards. And it's like, okay, so what am I getting? And then they got rid of planetary materials. And it's like, okay, so what am I getting? Like, I'm not getting anything here. That was not the order that things happened in, by the way. That was a little messed up. But no more planetary materials. No more items to actually drop. And no more legendary shards. What are we getting from patrols? What are we getting from public events? Glimmer? Literally just glimmer? Okay, cool. So at least it's a good glimmer source, right? You can go patrol for a little while and get your glimmer maxed out. No! Look at how much glimmer is in my inventory right now. 47,000? 47,000. Do you know how many hours I have in this game? And I have 47,000 glimmer right now? I got 2 enhanced perks on a gun. That's like the only thing I've spent it on today. It's 30,000 glimmer. How do I not have more than that right now?
Step on up.
Well, first of all, it maxes out. All right, fine. It maxes out. Whatever. I spent a lot of my turn-in materials, the things you could save up and then turn into a pool for glimmer. I spent a lot of those early to buy upgrade modules so that I could do the day 1 raid. Fine, whatever. I spent a lot of them. How do I get them back? How do I get my Glimmer back, dude? What's the fastest way to farm Glimmer? You know what it is? I looked it up recently. People are like, what is the fastest way to farm Glimmer? People are trying to figure it out for Final Shape. Genuinely, the fastest way to farm Glimmer right now is to do patrols. But not in a fun way. You have to like... you have to equip the right ghost mod to get extra Glimmer, and then just go from planetary material to planetary material on your ghost. Like, have your ghost telling you where all of them are, and then like reload into the area and do it again. You can't even comfortably go in a full circle because Bungie nerfed the speed at which planetary materials spawn, because in Destiny 1 you could go in a full circle. Like, let me just show you real quick on the moon. There's a route I used to go. I'm not going to go the route. I'm just going to show you on the map. I guess this is very small. But I would start here. I learned this route back in Destiny 1. And I've tried to do it in Destiny 2, but it just doesn't work. But you'd start here. You'd go over this way. Get some stuff here. Get some stuff here. Get some stuff here. You'd go over this way. Get some stuff here. Get some stuff here. Along the way, you're getting more and more and more. And then you keep going a little bit and you get here. And look, you're back where you started. And you know what happens when you're back there? The stuff respawns. Or at least has a chance of respawning. It's, you know, it's a random spawn, but that area fully refreshes. In Destiny 2, if I did 5 laps, this stuff would still not be respawned. It's like, it's insane how long it takes. So you can't go comfortably at it. You have to like do this whole area and then loop over and do this whole area and then loop over and then do this whole area, because these are totally different load zones. Or, you know, go somewhere that isn't the moon. Go to like, I don't know, let's go to like Nessus or something. Just do like a circle here and then fast travel. Circle here, and then fast travel. Okay, fine. Same thing, but like worse process, right? A little bit more trouble to go through. You have to open up your map and then reload. A little annoying, but it's the same concept. Still not that great though. And doing this isn't even really that good of progress for Glimmer. It's the fastest way to get Glimmer right now, but it objectively sucks. It's not a good way to get Glimmer. And the thing is, you know, you say like you could say, as a straw man in my argument here, Carnome, that's what you did in Destiny 1 though. What's the difference? Well, the difference is, in Destiny 1, you weren't just getting Glimmer, you were getting planetary materials, which was a big part of the game at the time. And it used to be a big part of the game in Destiny 2, and everybody got annoyed by it. And I understand. I feel like that's fair. But if you're going to get rid of planetary materials, you have to replace it with something equally valuable. Because otherwise, patrols exist for no reason. And I don't want them to just get rid of patrols, because I liked patrols when they were in Destiny 1, and I still like the locations. I love being able to explore the area, but there aren't any secrets anymore. They stopped putting like secrets into patrols. They don't have as many. You know? They stopped putting little hidden things in there, little collectibles, and a lot of the collectibles that were there are gone now. Now, some of them still exist. You can go around like Nessus or the EDZ and occasionally interact with stuff. But like some of the planetary material locations don't exist at all, you know? So there are no adventures, there are no planetary materials, there are no like rewards from public events besides Glimmer, there are no rewards from patrolling besides Glimmer. What is the point of patrolling now? What do we get, man? No secrets, no adventures, no missions, no nothing, man. No grinds, no farms. Now, I'm not saying they need to bring back that obnoxious exotic farm, where instead you would get, what was it, 2 tokens and a blue every time? I'm not saying to bring that back. No, that was objectively not good either. But is it better than what we have right now? I will argue, yeah. It was better than what we have right now, which is nothing. Patrols are worthless. Now, again, I'll bring it back to... you know, Final Shape. Who in the hell is this? Oh, this is... Okay, this is weird. Sorry, I got distracted by the song. This is Mac DeMarco, but it's him and Ryan Paris. Okay, so they collabed, I guess. I was like, I thought I only put on a bunch of musicians I know, but new music by them, so I don't know the music. Anyway, I just didn't recognize the singer. Sorry. Fully derailed the conversation, or the rant, I guess. Is this entertaining? I love how, like, I've just been at it for, like, I think, like, 20 minutes straight, running around the tower, ranting. I hope everybody's having a good time. I feel like maybe everybody who was here as part of the raid left. If you didn't, thank you so much. I really appreciate you hanging around. This is what I do. I complain a lot about something I love a lot. I'm still here. Thank you, Dino. Thank you for being here, Dino. I may have scared people away by the rant, by ranting too much. But I'm gonna assume that because nobody argued back, that I'm right. See? That's just how it is, man. If nobody says anything to disagree, and instead they just leave, then it just means that I'm right. So I feel justified, and I feel vilified, and I feel something else-ified that's positive, you know? I feel vindicated. I feel exasperated, I honestly. I don't know. As much as I like the game in a lot of ways, there's plenty to complain about, and I'm here to complain about it as much as I can. Because, you know, maybe in some way, somehow, some of this opinion of mine will trickle over into the feed, the sightline of somebody who matters in this world, and then they'll go, huh, that's a good point, and then make some sort of appropriate change later down the line. I mean, you know, you never know, except that it probably will never happen. But besides that, you know, you never know. I don't know. May not play Destiny, but not making things easy for noobs and harder for experienced players is, in my opinion, an issue, as the older players got nothing to do. Exactly. I mean, it's rough because an opinion I have that I think a lot of people disagree with is that the developers should not listen to everybody's opinion. But if you're going to listen to anybody in the community, it should be the new players to an extent. Yes, it should be the new players a little bit. And of course, it should be the average player to a certain degree. But I think the ones who shape your biggest view of the game as a developer should be the people who are, what's the right word? Not necessarily the most experienced, but the people who play the end game stuff, right? So the pros, right? Let's say the pros. I think a lot of people disagree with that notion, but I think usually the pros are the ones who are like, hey, I am succeeding in the game to quite a degree. I think that this needs a change because it makes the game worse. I think they usually are the ones who know what they're talking about. I mean, okay, this is insane to me. How many people got upset at Salta Greppo for talking about how Divinity was too strong? And then Bungie themselves came out and said, hey, we were going to nerf Divinity anyway. You guys need to chill out. Because the community, for some reason, was like, no, don't nerf it, don't nerf it. Like, why? It is objectively too strong. He's just saying it because he's in, like, the top of the line. Like, he got, like, 3 3 or 4 worlds first. And you know what he used for like half of the bosses at least is divinity. I think he's got, the right opinion. But for some reason, everybody who disagreed said that he was wrong. And they said it was because he was a pro, and pros don't know what it's like, and it's not fair to us. And it's brother, you wouldn't be using divinity if it weren't for the fact that the pros pointed out how good divinity was. And by pros, I mean in this context specifically, like the YouTubers who told you how good divinity was, the people who carried you in the one time you did Garden of Salvation so you could get divinity and then be carried in every other raid you did. It's like there's somebody out there who's actually doing like the hard stuff in the game. Like, are you really gonna look at Esoteric and be like, hey, he doesn't know what he's talking about? Like, brother, he soloed like less than 24 hours after it was released. He soloed the 12-man GM activity in the final shape. Now he's not Saltagrepo, he's a different guy. But Saltagrepo is on the same level as Esoteric. I mean, Esoteric maybe actually is far beyond Salt. But Salt is very vocal. He talks about the meta. He talks about things. But they're both speedrunners. They're both in the same league, right? And so, like, the fact that these people are doing insanely difficult things, I feel like it's not just respectable, but, like, if they have an opinion on how the thing that they do professionally, like, should be changed, then maybe listen to their opinion. Maybe they know what they're talking about. It's weird to me, man. I can understand that because the tower defense game I play kind of had the same issue. With a lot of towers just being OP and having and giving you an easy win. Yeah. Is it Bloons? Is it Bloons TD6? That's the only tower defense game I really play these days, but I haven't played it in a little while. I got into it for a bit though. But I don't know, man. Like, if something's broken, it's like, yeah, it can be fun if it's broken. If it's not a single player game that you play one time and then never touch again, then, like, maybe consider the balance changes. It's a Roblox tower defense game called Tower Defense X. Okay, fair. I don't know. I think it's important to listen to the people who know what they're talking about things. And maybe that doesn't include me, I've solo flawless a lot of dungeons. To be fair, I have not solo flawless the latest one because I never got around to it. I still plan on doing it at some point. I've normal flawless every raid up until I think Root of Nightmares. Did I do Oryx? Maybe I didn't do King's Fall yet either. Maybe that was the cutoff point. I can't quite remember if it was King's Fall or Root of Nightmares that I stopped. I just, again, haven't done it yet. I've done the master raids for all the other raids. Again, excluding the newest one just because I haven't done it yet. It's like, I've done these things, not immediately. Not all the time. I didn't complete every single day one raid. I wasn't even here for some of them. I've completed, I think, about half of the day one raids that I've tried to complete. Like, some of the stuff is not that hard to do, but I have done the harder things. I've been Gilded Conqueror every single season. Again, I haven't done this one, but, we're getting there. Right? So, like, maybe you could think of me as not being an authority. Maybe I don't have the right to the opinion. I don't think I'm on the same level as Esoteric or Saltagrepo or even Dado, or, I say even Dado. Dado's like my favorite content creator for Destiny stuff. Always has been. But, like, he's not a speedrunner or anything. Like, there are people who are maybe more qualified than me, but I feel like I have a reasonable opinion here, right? I feel like I'm not crazy for saying that there's no reason to do patrols right now, unless it's like the Pale Heart, which, like, again, I keep bringing back. I don't want to discount that work that they put in, because they actually made a good patrol zone for the new expansion, and the new expansion is blossoming because of it. Because it's actually worthwhile to do the patrol zone, and it's fun to do the patrol zone. It's been nice, man. It's been a nice change of pace. Now, there are a lot of reasons why I haven't been playing the game much lately, though. There have been a lot. I feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the stuff that there is to do. This kind of always happens every expansion. Just for me personally, I get really into it for the first like week or two, and then I get really burnt out, and then I feel intimidated by the amount of things that there are still left to do that I haven't done yet, and I feel like, oh, I got to do all this stuff, you know. When in reality, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, it's my anxiety flaring up there. I don't know, it's rough, man. I want the game to be better, and I understand that it's in Bungie's best interest to do things a certain way because it makes them money. And I think that sucks. I think genuinely that sucks, because like it could just be a better game, but we know it won't be, because there are certain things that have to maintain its level of bad quality, because that's what sells. You know, you gotta have a mediocre game over the span of a long time, and that'll sell better than a really, really good game that you sell one time. You know? Unfortunately, that's just the reality of all of it. And even if that one game that you sold one time that is really good, even if that made you a lot of money, the again, sad reality of all of it is that the company in charge of it, whoever CEO that is going to get the biggest cut of the money, even though they didn't do anything. You know, it always comes down to that, right? It always comes down to the same old stuff, you know. The people in charge don't do any work, but they reap all the benefits, right? It's just, you know, it's just the world we live in, and it sucks. And, you know, maybe some ways that will change in the future, but so far it hasn't. And we just got to live with that. But, you know, we can make appeals to Bungie and be like, hey, maybe consider changing this. Maybe consider fixing this. And, you know, they've done a really good job of that here and there. Like, Bungie's had their share of controversies. I'm not going to deny that at all. Like, a lot of them. But in a lot of ways, Bungie's been really, really good for the community, like, or to their community. They've really engaged with the community and listened to the community and done a good job incorporating things that need to be incorporated at the request of the community. It's good. They do a good job, you know? And you could say maybe they don't do as good of a job now. Maybe you could say they didn't do as good of a job before. I don't really know how well they're doing right now in particular. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Because right now I think we're still in the honeymoon phase for the expansion, but I think we're leaving the honeymoon phase. I think we're getting past it, and we're starting to peel back the layers and go, okay, we did all the new stuff. There's more new stuff, but it's not as big new stuff, right? The new season, that stuff's out. You know, it's going, but it's feeling about the same. I know they're calling it episodes now. It feels like a season. It doesn't feel any different at all so far. Other than the fact that some of it was more time gated than previous seasons were. It's like, okay, cool, thanks. I don't know. It's feeling about the same. I think a lot of people are taking a step back and going, how good is the game right now, really? Right? Because I think this was a really good expansion. It's probably the best expansion they've had, at least since Witch Queen. You know, I think we all agree that Lightfall was a pretty terrible expansion. I think some of the seasons were fine for Lightfall, but good seasons did not recover Lightfall from being such an awful expansion in a lot of other ways. It was lacking in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. The lore of Lightfall essentially just felt like it could have been a season. And I think that was the recent conclusion I came to when I was watching Bife's 10-hour long lore video recapping everything that happened up until the final shape. When it got to the part about Lightfall, I started thinking, you know what? This just feels like a season. This feels like, and I think if it was, I think if all the stuff that happened with the Nimbus and all of them, if that happened during a season, maybe even 2 seasons, people wouldn't be that mad. But the fact that it was a main expansion release, people were pissed, man. People hated that. And I don't blame them, because, like, you know, like, it just wasn't really that good. And it had nothing to do with, you know, what seasons were released and what exotics were there and what loot there was to get, and it had everything to do with the fact that the story just wasn't as engaging. It didn't make as much sense. It didn't have very good pacing. It just had so many issues with it. Just so many issues with it. And we're getting none of those issues with this current expansion. And that's really nice. That's a huge, good change of pace. But it is getting a little upsetting that, like, Bungie has really vowed to do something different with the seasons and shift them around. And it's going to be so different, so much better with episodes. We've heard you guys. We're listening. And then they just release a new season and, you know, time gate it in a little bit of a different way and call it an episode instead of a season. And it's like, wow, thanks, Bungie. Like, everybody feels like this is just another season. Most people are still not even really calling it an episode. I keep calling it a season by default just because I'm used to it. But it also doesn't feel any different. Why would I call it anything other than a season if it's not any different from a season? It's just, I don't know. It's rough, man. I don't know. And it sucks because, like, I don't want to talk negatively about the game. I do because I care. If I didn't care, I'd probably still talk about it, if I'm being honest. But, you know, my intent is not just to tear down the game and say all these bad things about it. Because at the end of the day, I really do like the game and I want to keep playing it. But I don't want to keep playing it if it's going to suck, man. Or at least I'm going to play it and I'm going to feel miserable about it. And I don't want either of those things. I don't want to quit the game or feel miserable while playing the game. I want to just play the game and enjoy it. And I had a great time playing this expansion. It was really good, man. I feel, my anxiety, like, just makes me feel a little bit overwhelmed. I got some other stuff just going on in life in general that's making me stressed out. So I haven't been playing a whole lot lately. But even besides that, I just haven't really felt the drive, because I'm like, okay, well, I did the expansion stuff. Now it's just the seasonal stuff. Oh, no. And it's like, I gear myself up and I go, you know what? All right, let's do the seasonal stuff. Let's knock out the seasonal. Let's go do the seasonal stuff. Let me get excited about the seasonal stuff. And then I do, like, one mission, and then I realize that I can't even do the rest of the mission yet because it's not out yet. And I go, oh yeah, I forgot they time gate everything. Never mind. So all that hype and momentum is just gone. It's just gone, dude. And I'm like, all right, cool. I have to wait until the end of the season when there's only 3 weeks left for the actual story to be out. Can't wait, man. I don't know, man. I feel like there's something better that they can do here. You know? I get that, like, they release expansions as the big driving force. This is the big main thing to get you excited for the game, right? This is the big thing to buy. If you're going to buy a thing, buy the expansions, right? That's the main thing, right? And then seasons are literally just, okay, we want you to play every day. At the very least, at least every week, right? That's what we want. We want you to spend money on a thing that makes you play every week. And every time you play, you think, maybe I should buy that thing in the store. Right? That's the way they're making their money, right? Is, like that's their hustle. Is they get you to pay for the expansion. Yeah, sure. Expansions are maybe more expensive than you want them to be. But let's be real. It's pretty much the most expected price it is these days. It's really not a surprising price. I'm not surprised by it at all. And if you're somebody like me who's going to just end up playing all of it, then you're probably going to buy not the most expensive version, but the one that comes with all the seasons, just so you don't have to pay for the seasons later on, because you know you're going to pay for them anyway, so you might as well pay the cheapest price right up front, and just get all of it anyway. That's what I do, because I know I'm going to buy it anyway. I don't know. It's rough, man. I don't blame anybody who feels like they need to step away from the game. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. I think maybe in the future I might find myself leaving the game. I think I thought for a long time that I never would, I never could, that I never wanted to. But there are definitely things that have made me go, you know what? Maybe I need to consider it. Maybe I need to consider not playing Destiny. You know, or at least playing less Destiny, or at least, you know, not taking it so seriously, not being so hardcore about it. Of course, I don't know about that, because I think raids and endgame content is my favorite stuff. And so not doing that in particular does not sound like fun. Especially since, as I've been talking about, the mid-game and beginning game stuff is really, like, bad right now. I don't know. I feel like I've touched on, like, a million different things, but there are, you know, a million different things to talk about. I will say, I think it might just be me and Dino chilling here. And as much as I appreciate Dino, it is also 12 in the morning. And I should probably go to bed. And I have the day off tomorrow, so I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. So I would not feel bad for being like, oh no, I just got here, or whatever, if anybody just got here. I care. I really care, you know? I'll try my best to be there. Hey, no pressure, man. There's never any pressure, but I would love to see you anyway. I might play Destiny. I might play something else instead, actually. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. Today's stream was not short, but not as long as some of my other streams can go. I don't know. I guess my closing thoughts on the whole thing is just I wish Bungie would realize that there's a lot of merit. You know, I think the thing that I fell in love with Bungie, or with Destiny for, was when I played the beta in Destiny 1. And literally all I did in the beta was do some patrols. And that felt magical to me. There were a lot of things about it that felt really magical to me. And, you know, I know that nostalgia is one hell of a drug, right? You know, it'll never be as good. You know, there's that phrase of you can never go home. You can never really go home, or something like that. I think there's a bit of a longer phrase to that, but it's the idea of, like, when you grow up and you leave home, you can never, even if you go back to your old house, it just won't be the same. You know, even if you go back to the same family and the same place and the same house, you're a different person. You can never go back home. And, you know, that's like a sad thought or whatever, but, like, not really. I think there's a lot of merit to enjoying the now. And that's all beside the point. My point is just that I don't think it's the nostalgia talking when I say that there was a point in time where I really loved just doing strikes, just hanging out with some friends, chatting very casually, doing some strikes, not really worrying too much about anything going on with it, getting excited when I got a palindrome to drop, or the unique armor piece, or whatever, you know, getting excited when I got the rare drop of whatever. But, you know, otherwise just doing strikes because it was a fun thing to do and I enjoyed doing it. And here, let me try running it with this instead this time. You know, oh, I love this strike. The story's fun, you know, whether we want it or not, you know, all that. It's just like all this little stuff, you know. It's just, it'd be nice to be able to do that again, you know, to be able to just run around the Cosmodrome and, you know, just blindly shoot some dregs and acolytes and stuff. Nothing too crazy, but then still get something out of it, because I'm spending my time playing the game. It'd be nice to get something out of it, you know? Yeah, it changed a lot years ago when I was with friends. Today I just sit home all day, play on my PC. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. I feel you there, brother. I'm right there with you. It's a matter of. I think there's a lot that goes into that too, because that's growing up, but then it's also, I think we're very digital these days. You know, I spend a lot of time online, and I have online friends. You know, I have online friends. I have viewers, of course, as well in chat. Um, I have friends of varying degrees of closeness. Uh, but it's not quite the same as having a real life friend group that you go hang out with. And if I'm being honest, I don't have that right now. I don't have a group of friends that I go and play video games with in person, or we go hang out somewhere. It's different now. It's different now. Um, and I think part of that is maybe just I need to reach out and I need to find a group that can do that kind of thing. I think another part of that is me personally, I don't actually really like going out that much. I like staying inside. I like staying home all day. Um, I shouldn't. I definitely should get out more. But I do like staying home more often than not. But I know not everybody's like that. You might not be like that. But I think another part of it is also like we're very digital these days. People just spend more time online than they do in person. So I don't know. It's rough. It's all rough, isn't it? This is a good line of the song. Tell all your friends you love them. You don't see them every day. It's pretty appropriate to what we were talking about there. Good old Dr. Dog, man. Coming out with an album just earlier this month, like 5 days ago. I got some pretty relevant stuff. It's nice. On that note, I think that's it for me. I gotta go. It's late. I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule. I got work not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow. So I don't want to be all like, let me stay up till 5 in the morning and then I'll finally end stream. I'm gonna end stream. I'll be on tomorrow for probably a good chunk of the day, probably most of the day. If I do the anxiety thing and I sit and I rot in my room for several hours doing nothing and then finally stream, maybe it'll only be for a few hours, but I'm probably going to stream for most of the day. I'll try to set myself up for that. It depends on how much I rot tomorrow. Anyway, I'll let this be the outro song for the night. This is off of their new album, Still Can't Believe by Dr. Dog. It'll be the outro song for the night. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow, Dino. Maybe not. All good if I don't. But I hope to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.